Morning.
Good morning.
Before I'll share my screen, everyone, I'll just quickly introduce myself to you. Most of you already know my name. My name is Irmah. I am working in our very own HR department as a talent acquisition manager. So now I'm about to share my screen. Just let me know once it's visible to you all.
We can see your screen, Irma.
Okay. So everyone, the topic for today training is going to be the value of empathy in leadership. So before I move ahead and before we dive more into this topic, I actually would like to know everyone's take here on empathy and how it can affect leadership. So anyone? Anyone, just what do you think about empathy in itself? Just a definition, something. Yeah,
I believe it's very important. Yes, if you know a leader, if you're sharing your a problem or a sorrow or something which you're going through, and your leader is like, man, whatever it is, you just carry on with your work. That will be a demotivating factor, I believe. So yes, empathy is very important. I believe a leader should always be all ears and an active listener, and he should be feeling what I'm going through and help me with it. So yeah, that's
yes,
it.
I agree with you on that. Mariam, you wanted to add something as well? I think my light is
Yeah.
on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So in my opinion, empathy is, in a leader is something where the leader understands his people, what they are, who they are, where they are at a certain point in time in their life, and how can that person deal with their work in a better way.
Okay. So moving forward, Jeff, would you like to add anything in here?
Nope, I think that's good for now.
Okay. So let's take it one by one and let's start it with the scenario. So we have a scenario here of Mr. David. He is a very great HR professional and he is at a point of his career where he's stuck, and that is all because of his people skill. So we do get up to a point in our career, let's say into an associate position or into an executive position, thanks to our technical skill. But when it's time to move towards the managerial role or maybe above than that, where it's stick in, because then you will be managing a team where you will be teams as well, not just one team, teams as well. You will be managing 4 to 5 people under you, and it's there where all the responsibility kicks in, and it's not easy. Imagine 3 to 4 people working under you, all of them coming with different ideas, coming with they're in their different lifestyle that they have. So you being a leader have to be considerate to all of them. They might be having something that is going their personal life, there might be something going on their personal life, and that is where empathy comes in. That is where empathy helps you as a leader. So here it's all written here, many of us know people who have reached a certain point in their career because of the technical skill. Again, once you reach that managerial position, it's where empathy is going to help you a lot. Okay, so moving forward, like Ali said, like Mariam even explained, let's just see what empathy is really is and how we can differentiate empathy from sympathy. A lot of people confuse sympathy with empathy and empathy as well. So empathy in its simplest form is just basically, being considerate, being understanding, and creating the awareness of the feelings and emotion of other people, putting yourself in their shoe. You might not have to agree with what they're going on, you might not have to experience what they're going through, but you have to have this, you have to be understanding. That's the main gist of empathy. Be considerate to that person, be it your employee, be it someone in your personal life. Empathy is going to not only help you in your career but also your personal life as well. So let's see that how we can differentiate empathy from sympathy and apathy, so we can have a better understanding. So here's a scenario where a person is drowning. So an empathic person is going to say, okay, this person is drowning, none of my concern, let it be, I don't care. Then there is a sympathetic person. How he is going to react to this situation? He will be like that, oh my God, someone is drowning and I feel sad for them. But he won't do anything about it. But when it comes to apathy, when a person is apathetic, he is going to find out ways, find out strategies or techniques in order to help that drowning person. That is where empathy comes in. And especially in your professional career, if when one go into a managerial position, and I will be talking from my experience because I just got promoted recently. It's been 2 months. First, I only had, I was in the associate position, but now I'm leading a team of 4 to 5 people under me. And sometimes, there comes a situation where, we have disagreements with among the team. We have situations where we have to be thinking about the other person first, putting their needs first, because due to COVID, we have seen a rise in deaths among our colleagues in their families. We have seen a rise in people getting ill, and it's empathy is the need of an hour right now. So again, Jeff, anything you want to add in?
I'm gonna wait for the next slide, and then I'll chime in.
Okay, so moving forward, taking empathy along, what does it mean to use both head and heart in leadership? Because empathy is putting your head and heart all together, and it is very so a leader who use their heart is focused on goals and strategies, operational issues, productions, and their deadlines, structure, and finances. And the person who uses their heart, or a leader who use their heart, is more focused towards understanding the strategies, understanding what the people are telling him, supporting them throughout their daily task, or supporting them through their projects, and helping in the development of their employee. So now the question comes in here, that which one is better, the head or the heart? Anyone here can answer me? Anyone?
I think the head
None
is
of them
better.
is better.
Okay.
You have to take them in
And
sync.
why
I think
do you
one
think that,
thing
Amir?
will, yeah.
One has her hand raised.
Okay, yeah, Ganya, you go ahead.
So I think both should be simultaneously playing their part. A leader should have that focus of strategizing goals and operational issues and everything. Also, it should also have that empathy of understanding the situation of their subordinates and their team, and support them through it and help them reach to the desired goal. So I think head and heart both go hand in hand.
And I'm going to agree here with Ganya that none is better than the other. A leader require both the aspect equally, and how it will help his or her team in reaching their goals. And number one, giving people a sense of meaning in unfavorable circumstances. I'm going to give you an example here. Let's say that there's a team of 4 people and they are with their manager, and they have given this task that they have to submit by tomorrow, but by the end of the day the task is still pending, and there's a lot of steps that needs to be done before they submit the assignment or the task. And and the leader or the manager, he asks their employee to give an hour or 2 hour extra in order to complete this task. Now we understand that a lot of the other teammates, they might get frustrated because they might have their personal commitments that they want to go to, they might have their friends that they're hanging out with after this work thing. So when it comes to a person, the manager, he can also, you guys, it is your responsibility, do it, and it should be on my desk by tomorrow. But when it comes to an empathetic leader, how he's going to cater to the situation? He's going to come, sit with his people, accommodate them, facilitate them, and at the time they also give him a motivator. How about you guys put in an extra hour today and you all can come in late tomorrow? Or how about tomorrow we can go somewhere for a breakfast? So he is giving in that motivator by yeah, Jeff, you want to add something in here?
So, all right. So who here can give me an example outside of work of empathy, where you've seen empathy recently? No one has seen empathy in action recently? Okay, that's fine. So let me give you a specific example. I'm not here to brag. I'm just going to tell you this scenario just happened to my recruiting company. So the typhoon in the Philippines, we have 4 employees in the Philippines, and 2 of them lost their homes completely. So 2 of my best employees in the Philippines, in the dark, no water, standing in line to get food and gas and everything else, and their house is gone. So they don't even know where they're going to sleep tonight. How can you be empathetic there? Well, I'll give you an example of what exactly we did. So within 20 minutes of hearing that, as a company, we sent them $1,000 each, no strings attached, because we know in a crisis, a lot of people say, hey, I can send you some clothes, I can send you all these things. But from my experience, cash is what matters at that point in time, because everybody has different needs. I'm to find out in one of the 2 people's positions, they actually had 4 homes damaged or destroyed in that family unit. So mother, father, grandmother, the list goes on. And so that need for cash was very different than the need for cash for the other employee who actually owns a store that wasn't damaged and they could sleep in the back of the store. So they had a place to go. So the empathy is, from my perspective, I've been there. I've had crisis in my life, and there was no paperwork required, right? I mean, it isn't like, can I get some money from you? My life is pretty much destroyed. It got sent within 20 minutes of learning that. And then within 24 hours, they were both offered from the company a $2,000 loan with a 12-month payback. So in their case, if they each worked an extra 4 hours a week for the year, that would take care of paying back their loan as well. No interest, any of those kinds of things. And so, I feel sympathy for them. I can't imagine what the heck that's like, right? But the empathy, or what I've often heard called servant leadership, is, our job is to take care of our people, to, keep their morale up. So on top of that, we paid them for 3 weeks of not working at all to put their life back together. And now they're both back working about 25 hours a week. And we're still paying them their full wages because they're valued members of the team. This is nothing that they did that they have any control over. And what is that ripple effect? Well, the ripple effect is we shared that with the entire team. So I have 23, 24 people on my team. So when you go to giving people a sense of meaning in unfavorable circumstance, I think that is clearly covered. But making employees feel valued, respected in an age of massive layoffs. When we shared that story with the rest of the company, they all felt more valued, because we're not a company that talks about this. They see us in action. So we say a lot of these things, we call them core values, all of that, but we lived our core values through that entire situation for them. And our collective morale and motivation for the whole team, because we shared it,
An increase, yeah.
Was there. But more importantly, we didn't ask for anybody to chip in. So we didn't, quote unquote, in the US we call it, say, pass the hat, everybody give $20 and we'll donate it. The company as a whole donated that. And when people asked, I'd like to give some money, it was pretty simple. It says, just do your job and cover a little bit of extra work for these two people that are not here right now. And so everybody helped out as well. So to me, that's just an example of empathy. I was the one that made the decision on the initial sending of cash. I have a business partner. I didn't even ask him if it was okay. I just knew that's how he and I operate and what we believe in. And so, man, I don't want to be in your shoes, but I can assist. I can make a difference. So back to your example about, our team or team members not turning in their work on time, before you start yelling and screaming, find out what's going on. Yesterday I had to leave work early, my child care provider didn't show up, so I had to leave at noon. Wasn't planned. Okay, that wasn't planned. What are we gonna do to make up that time? It's always best if you ask a question versus make a statement. And if Irma, if I'm stealing your thunder here, then
Oh, yeah,
apologize. But
definitely not.
it's real easy to go to the negative. I mean, that's maybe the point I want to make about when you're a supervisor. It's easy to assume that this happened and something they did is a negative parameter. So it's also, we're talking about, this is called mindset, right? I have a mindset, two things that I think make myself and my DRE team better, and that's part of the reason I work with RepStack as well, is number one, if you come to work for me on the first day, I give you 100% of my trust. So I've interviewed you, you may be taking an assessment, but now you have my trust. Here it is. Only thing you can do is lose my trust. All right. And then the second thing is, it goes back to the first one, but I believe I've hired good people that want to do the right thing. So when they're not doing the right thing, almost always it's either some interruption that they didn't have control over in their life, whether it's work or personal, or two, they didn't have enough training to actually do the job. So one, I have no control over, which is whatever is happening in their life, but making sure that they have the training that they need is another way to make sure that we are empathetic leaders. Questions? All right, back to the slideshow.
I actually wanted to add in here, Jeff, that, sometimes we don't know that where other people are coming from. Sometimes we don't know their circumstances, and being a supervisor, as you said, we sometimes make assumption that this person is only coming late because he might be, sleeping late, or maybe sleeping an extra hour, and that is why he's late to work. And now he's just making excuses. So that is something that we need to keep in mind, that people might be going through their own problems, their own difficulties, that we need to keep in mind before, just start shouting. Being a supervisor, a lot of supervisors do that just start shouting and, making, yeah, Harim, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I want to say that what Jeff explained was really appreciable. And if you felt listened and heard, that is a very big thing. Like for me as an employee, if I have a problem or I have an issue, and if I'm feel heard, that is already a very big thing.
It creates a sense of loyalty towards your employer as
Yeah.
well, because in today's era, one thing that I wanted to add on later slides, but I'll talk about that today, that previously people used to give their 20 to 30 years to work one company, and they used to retire from there, be it even bad management or even bad managers. But today with millennials or with Generation Z, they are looking for other motivator as well. They are looking for a pace for development. They are looking for good people to work with, as well as good supervisor, a good mentor. So that is one of the main motivator in today era as well. And that is where empathy helps the leader into learning how to keep that loyalty, within the workplace. So that concludes my third point as well, that keeping the morale and motivation high by actively listening to your employees, by paying attention to little details, that if they are, an employee, he has been performing really good, but lately there has been some error in his work. So how about you go and talk to that person instead of just, telling him that, your work is not up to the mark these days, and we might be, looking to replace you. So moving forward, a lot of people, some people, especially us ladies, we have that little corner empathy that we are already born with, or maybe in when once we have a little brother or a sister, we kind of develop that kind of thing along in the path. But a lot of people, if they lack empathy, so can empathy be taught? Yes, it can be. It's not a fixed rate. It can be taught as due to with some trainings, with some coaching session, and yeah. So there are three main steps in understanding and learning empathy. That is understanding yourself, understanding others, and non-verbal empathy. Before I move ahead, Jeff, anything you want to add here?
Yeah, I think I'm a perfect example of this. Early in my career now, just so everybody knows, I'm soon to be 62 years old. So when I say in my 40 years of working, which for all of you sounds like holy crap, probably most of you weren't even alive 40 years ago, but in that time when I first became a leader, I was a screamer. I immediately went to the negative. I immediately assumed that that employee was trying to do something to hurt me or my company. And then I woke up one day, truly, I woke up one day and said, this is not how I want to live my life. And so I undertook the journey of what you're talking about in the number two there is, so I started working on understanding myself, but more importantly, I spent a lot of time trying to understand others. And so a lot of learning around how do people function? How do they think? Do they actually go out of the way to sabotage you? Or is it, as Irma said, there's something going on in her life, because all of a sudden, if you find out, go back 24 months when some people actually drove to work to, not everybody's at home, they keep showing up late, come to find out their car is broke down, now they're riding the bus to work and they can't get there any sooner on the bus because of the way it is. Well, see, if I know that story, then my next question is, what's it going to take to get your car repaired? Well, I need $100 to replace the tire and I'm back in business. Well, how can we help you get $100? Can I pay you a little bit early? Can I give you $100 and let you pay it back over 5 weeks? It's just $20 a week. So learning that most people, again, are good people that want to do the right thing. I like to say there's turds out there, but there are not many of them, But then the nonverbal empathy, started to come into play once I started understanding myself better and once I started understanding others. So at this point in your early career, make that decision that you want to be an empathetic leader. Another phrase that's out there right now is a servant leader. And do some research, do your own personal study on it, and it will have a major impact on your entire career and, more importantly, your outlook in life. That's it.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to add on that as well, that back in 2020, when COVID-19 came in place and a lot of companies were laying off their employees. At that time, a lot of employees who were still working started questioning their position in the company as well. So this was the time for any manager or any leader to get in action, because if at that time the leader was not showing them the value of their work, was still, very not appreciating them at all, it was reflecting in the employee's performance as well, because he was questioning himself again and again. So this is where an empathetic leader comes in place as well, that during the difficult times he needs to assure his people, appreciate his people, and value their feedback as well. So moving forward, how do you get it? The first part is understanding yourself, understanding your emotion, and recognizing your emotion as well, that I'm a human being as well, being a manager, being a leader. I have my life going on as well. I go through different phases as well. So once you come in reflection with your own perspective, it becomes much easier to understand what other people might be going through, or if they are going through the same thing as you are. So the first is give yourself the permission to come in contact with your emotions. And as Jeff already explained it, that the second part is, once you know more and more about yourself, and how in difficulty you are catering to things, you will know if another person is going through the same thing or the same situation, how can you cater to that person. So the second thing that comes in place is find perspective. It's understanding other people, even if you haven't been in that situation, even if you don't agree with what they're saying. As I'll go back to Jeff example about the Philippines, that people were losing their homes, and obviously Jeff himself did not face this kind of situation, but he knew how devastating this have been for the people who are facing at the moment, and what we can do with that. As soon as we come into an action and as soon as we help them, the more loyalty we build among our employees. And the third thing is non-verbal and in harmony. A lot of time, just the words in itself cannot help. The gesture matters as well. Let's say that employee come up to you and he or she is like that, my grandfather or my parent passed away, and you're just like, okay, take a day off and come to work whenever you're fine with it. But when a person comes to you and you're like, oh, I'm really sorry, if there anything that I can do to help you, while showing that worry on your face, that understanding on your face, it will make that person a little bit feel a little better, that okay, my boss is okay with it, I can take a week off and then I'll come back once everything is good. Otherwise, if I would have been, I would be overthinking that, okay, he said that in this tone, is he not okay with it? Is he not okay with me taking a leave of 1 week? So yeah, the tone, the verbal gesture matter as well. So moving forward now, empathy in workplace.
So
Before I move
let's stop there for just a second. So one of the interesting things for everyone here that's going to work with a client is you now have to not only understand your culture, but you have to understand the US culture.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what's important in Pakistan is different in the United States. Your culture is very family driven. It's like the United States was in 1950. We're not that way anymore. Part of the reason is, if you look at the size of our country, it's very spread out. So we, if we didn't have automobiles, we couldn't survive. So think about that statement. So if you're somebody that in the US says, my car broke down, and you immediately say, well, just take the bus. Well, probably 90% of our country doesn't have bus service. In the major metropolitan areas it does, but the little cities and towns in between it doesn't. So without knowing about the US culture, in that simple example, you're trying to be empathetic when in fact it's not working for you. Yeah. So learn the US culture, and to make it even simpler, depending on who your client is, try to get to know them, share with them. I'd like to better understand the culture in the United States so I can better support you in my role, things like that. And that, I think, is really critical. So in my particular case, I have Pakistan, India, the Philippines, and Colombia. So I have those 4 countries as well as the United States. So what are the differences in each of those countries? What are their religious holidays? Heck, let's take a step back. What's their religion? You know, and I'm trying to understand, you know, the US is primarily based on a Christian calendar and everything else. So working to understand other religious beliefs and how they fit in is an important thing. Back to you, workplace.
Yeah, one more thing that it even helps the salespeople. If we have salespeople here and customer support representative as well. So when you're going on call, you're going on calls with different people who are coming in with maybe US, maybe UK, and they are coming in with different culture, different perspective that might not be same as you. So it helps you out there as well when you understand about their culture. And when you are selling a product, you can pinpoint the main things that, okay, this is the thing that I can talk about and which will help me in selling my product more. So empathy comes in place even in sales, even in customer support, or somewhere even in marketing, even in HR. Trust me, I meet a lot of people on daily basis, and dealing with them sometimes empathy helps me in that place, because when I'm interviewing, a lot of people come in, they come in with, I need this job, it's, I am a single mother, or maybe I'm going through a divorce, and that is where we have to understand these people and their scenarios and the situation. So moving forward, empathy in workplace brings a lot of benefit that we have already previously talked about. It improves in increasing employee morale, build trust in the professional relationship. As Jeff mentioned, it builds a trust among you, your client, or if you're a salesperson, among your customers as well, that if you are on a call and they had a really great time talking to you, understand their perspective, they might be reaching out to you again as well to purchase something from you again. Then helping in retaining clients and reduce the fear from being ridiculed. So the last point, that let's suppose that you made a mistake. We are human beings and we are prone to mistakes. So you made a mistake and you're afraid to go and talk about whether to your manager, and that is wrong, because that manager should be the first person that you go to if you make a workplace mistake. If you made maybe some data is wrong and you have already submitted the report, the manager should be the first person you should rely on, and you go to, and he listen out to you calmly, and then you both work on it to see that how you can work out this problem. But if you go to your manager for the first time and he starts shouting at you, later if you're making even big mistake, he won't even come to you and talk to the manager about it. So that is something that gives a manager advantage and edge if he is being empathetic towards his employees. So up till now, anyone wants to add anything? Because a lot of you are coming with different lifestyle, different culture, you have experience with management. Any experience, any example that any one of you might want to add in? I'll just quickly get my laptop. Anyone?
Yes, Hamad, you can go ahead.
Yes, Amma.
Hey, so when I was actually coming to RepStack and I was on my notice period, I was in a process to tell all of my clients that I am being promoted in the company, and then I will not be able to, speak to them anymore. So I had about 2 to 3 clients who were actually crying over the phone call because I have been talking to them for about 2 years, and then I was just leaving them. They were just telling me, just take them, with me wherever I am going, because they knew that I am actually leaving the company at the end of the day. So, but I told them I'm just getting promoted and I will not be in this same job role anymore. But they were not, just understanding that. So, it is one of the thing, because the clients I was working with, they were actually, I knew about their daughters, I knew about their sons, all the holidays that they had there and everything. I mean, they were inviting me to the holidays as well, but they were just, at the end of the day, they were just saying that, just do not leave us because we will not be, working with this company again if you will just leave us. So it was it was kind of very overwhelming for me when I was leaving that company. But, at the end of the day, it is life. So you have to go forward with that.
Yes. So this is where this come and build trust in professional relationship, as well as these people are going to remember you even later on. If you know this world is round, we do get in contact with other people every now and then, and they are going to remember you. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll just move forward. So with empathy, one thing that comes in place is emotional intelligence. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that anyone here knows exactly what emotional intelligence is, even if they have ratified some definition back in their universities or something. They can just anyone. Hamad, your head is still raised. So I thought you wanted. Jeff, you want to add anything in here?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Uh,
Someone just. Anyone wants to add anything?
yeah, emotional intelligence
Yeah.
basically is to handle your emotions. Like you have a control on over your emotions, and your emotions are not controlling you as a person. So I guess that is
Exactly. This is what emotional intelligence is. I'm just going to read out the definition here as well. That emotional intelligence is basically the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in a positive way so that it can help you out in longer run to relieve stress, communicate effectively with your subordinates, empathize with others, and overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. So as we talked about earlier about self-awareness, that once you get in contact with your own emotions, with the own thing that is a hurdle in your success. Okay. It's a hurdle in your success. It's where you actually help others as well as you help yourself. So emotional intelligence consists of few elements. Competencies, we can say it's self-awareness, it's self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So these are the steps that first you need to know your own self. You need to get in contact with your own feelings, motivation, desire, and get control of it. Then it comes self-management. So self-management is basically the one where you get control of your emotions, even in difficult situation. For being a leader, when it comes to leadership, when they have to give out, let's say, a bad news to an employee, maybe they are laying that employee off, or maybe you have to, or they had a good relationship with that employee, they have to control their own relationship because this is for the business objective. So they have to get in touch with they have to plan, organize, and then deliver this news to that person. um, and its characteristics comprise self-control, trustworthiness, adaptability, and also initiative taking. Once you are aware of yourself and you are managing your emotions, you will be more open to taking more initiative, delegating more tasks to your teams, and knowing how to delegate tasks among your team. So moving forward, then we have social awareness. So once you have a hold on yourself, on your schedules, on your emotions, then you move towards the third part, that is social awareness. That is where other people come, other people roles come in play. So social awareness is basically the ability to recognize and understand other people's emotion. It's basically what empathy is. So for a leader, it's important uh, because to form healthy relationship in the organization with its subordinates, and not just with its subordinates, with a clientele, with people of other department as well, because we are coordinating with other departments on daily basis. I'm from HR, and I have to facilitate RSA. We have to facilitate sales as well. The RSA is facilitating sales as well. So they have tough deadlines that need to be met as well. So if people, we are not right now, we are in search of more salespeople. So if we are not giving out more and more salespeople, the RSA is not getting them to train, and the salespeople are not getting to fill more and more, give more sales client to them. So we need to be considerate to all of are not just subordinate, but to other department as well, and see where they are coming from. And last but not the least is relationship management. So to work in a healthy environment, to have a healthy workplace, is to have good relationship with the team that you're working within and with the people that you are working with. And the main part is that obviously I came in from a very MNC culture. It was a proper corporate culture, and when I came in here, A startup culture, guys, it's completely different that to what already big corporates are, they have the culture there. Their processes are in place, everything in place. When I came in here, everything was fairly new. So it comes in the adaptability part, as well as for the people, as well as for the leader. When he comes in, he needs to realize that, okay, it's a startup culture. How are we going to manage it? How are we going to, properly allocate everyone their responsibility? One thing that, let's say that you have a team, and there is this one person who is good with social media, and there's this one person who is good with graphic designing, but you are forcing that person that you should do the social media, the graphic designer, that you should do the social media part right now, because the social media person, and he's giving out some other responsibility to that, and he's forcing that task to him, just because maybe the fear, or maybe from, because his leader or his manager is delegating tasks, he might do that, but he won't generate the same result as the person who is expert with social media. So a leader, a manager needs to keep this in mind when he's delegating tasks as well. So these are the central abilities of emotional intelligence. We have already touched all these points: identifying emotions, controlling one own's emotion, relating to others, understanding others, evaluating how others feel, perceiving, their perspective, and in facilitating social communication. Jeff, would you like to add something in here?
Yeah, so I think out of all of those things, competencies, listening skills, consistency, accountability, those are the ones that you really want to think and make a part of your life. And then that adaptness that they talk about there, willing to change and fit into the organization. And when I say organization, that's either RepStack or your family or your friends, understand that to be a good emotional leader, with empathy, a lot of this really comes down to being confident and consistent and your listening skills so that you can react and respond appropriately. And I'm betting that half of the people here say in their mind, I'm a good listener, but I would challenge you to figure out if you're a good listener or not. And the easiest way to do that is go on Google and just type in assessment to see if I'm a good listener or not. And I guarantee you there's probably 3 or 4 free little quizzes you can take to determine if you're actually a good listener or not. And if you're not, then you need to learn how to listen, because I'm still pretty bad at it, but I used to really be bad at it, where I had the conversation in my head and I would blurt out things before the other person even finished what they were saying. And how can I call myself a good listener if I didn't listen until the end of what they were saying? We've all watched a good movie or read a good book at some time or other in your life, where right at their end, there's a little twist and it completely changes your outlook on how that movie was, good or bad. Well, it's the same when people are talking to you. If you're not listening all the way to the end, you don't know if there's a little twist. You're making an assumption. Oh, I've lived through this before. This is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, but did you hear that I said I'm not able to do that? I'm like, oh, I didn't listen. I didn't hear. So keep that in mind.
Yes, that is one thing that I am still learning. That's still something in process, because I'm an extrovert, and usually if Nimra is here, so usually when they're sharing about their day-to-day event, and I just go in between, like, yeah, this happened with me as well. So that is something that I'm still working on, and that is something that is very crucial. Once you come into a managerial position, you need to listen to your people, how their day went. Even just small things, they matter a lot. Just right now, if I ask any one of my people that how was your weekend, and they sometimes with joy just respond to that, because they have this mind, okay, my manager, he thinks about these stuff, and he or she wants to know about this. So yeah, that is something that's still in process. That is something that even I'm working with. So moving forward, this is the last topic with our training, in our training, is to lead with love or with fear. So a lot of manager, when they come into that position, when they come into power, they have different approaches. They come up with their own leadership style and how they want to, take it on with their team. So a lot of people, they choose fear, they choose that power, that now I am a person with authority. I'm just going to, monitor my people, maybe micromanagement, and that is where, a lot of problem kicks in. So traditionally, even, previously organization used to rely on fear as a motivator, that if we are going to give them this deadline and we are going to say that if you did not finish the task on the deadline, things are going to go bad. People used to do that, but they were not doing that with, they were not doing the, what would be the right word, with motivation there. They were just doing that for the sake of just doing it. They were not putting their efforts in. So the results were not as you would like it. So it actually helped maintain the power and authority over people, and is more likely to make people push themselves. Exactly. So it actually made people push themselves to be more efficient and avoid error, but in return it was creating a lot of chaos. And in the meantime, here, especially if they have a manager who is more focused on this fair approach, I'm telling you, and I know this for sure, that at the back, people are searching for other jobs. So this is the case as well. So we don't want that case. Nobody, no manager wants that. They want their team, if they're good enough, they want their team to stick in. So a fair prevents people from doing their best, from taking risk, and from challenging and changing the status quo. In today era, a lot of us, we have a lot of ideas burning inside our mind, and we need the kind of mentor who facilitate it, not demotivate us. So if there is a manager who is facilitating you, you will come up with the best practices. Even if you make mistake, I think all of us make mistake, and that is okay. But how about that approach might work as well in our favor? So yeah, Jeff, you want to add anything?
Nope.
Okay. So the next thing is leading with love. Leaders can control the fear level within an organization by making people feel safe when they are speaking their mind. As I said before, that fear sometimes restrict us. We don't want to participate more, we don't want to give out our ideas, even though it might help, or it might be the solution to what we are looking for. But when leaders are encouraging, motivating, people come out and they speak their mind, they share ideas. We might not agree them, but at least they feel that, okay, I am being heard. It creates an environment of respect and trust among the team as well, and it helps the employees learn, grow, and contribute their best to achieve the organization vision. So when the leader or the manager or maybe the CEO of the company is facilitating, a lot of companies are putting up these open door policy that whenever you have any trouble, just come and talk to us, be it even the executive or the chief. So that is why it came in place. It came in place because of the empathy, because people are now realizing that the people who are actually doing their best in keeping that organization running, sometimes they face difficulties and they want to be heard. They want people to maybe appreciate them, recognize what they're going through. So that is what, if an employer, a manager or a leader is helping you in that regard, you will work towards the betterment of that organization, because this organization is putting their trust in me. I want to do my best, I want to give my best. Okay, so this is the characteristic of organization driven by fear: cautious behavior, secrecy. People create groups, WhatsApp groups, where they talk about, where they gossip about the leader, and that is something that is not favorable. Then blaming others. If you are working in a team and you were the one who made the mistake, and just to save yourself from that, you blame it on your colleague. Emotional distance among people. But the characteristic of an organization that is driven by, I won't say love, but trust. And love, it's openness, respect for diversity, focus on positive internal relations. So yeah, Jeff, you want to add anything?
Yeah, so you have to decide what kind of organization that you want to work in. I will tell you that I truly believe that RepStack is more an organization driven by love than fear. And we're paying attention to that. So everybody needs to know and understand that we are paying attention because we are growing quickly. And as we continue to grow, it's the easy way to manage is by fear. Because I don't have to pay attention to you. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to do anything but tell you what to do. Do this, do that. If you don't do it, I'm going to fire you. Right? That's the easy way. But if, in fact, you want that team member to stick around, you want them to feel like they're in the right place, then it takes more effort to manage with empathy and love and caring and understanding and all the words that go along with it. So if for some reason, you do not feel like that your leader is working off of that, then reach out, talk to them, talk to their supervisor. Don't just quit. Don't just leave RepStack, because we all, Salman, I'm going to pick on you for a second since you're one of the leaders here. From time to time, I'm sure you feel a little rushed and you maybe get a little abrupt and you kind of give instructions and then realize a little bit later, man, that probably didn't come across the way I intended it to. Has that ever happened to you?
Lot. The team already can attest to that. So yes, a lot of these things is something that we want to improve in ourselves as well. So this is a perfect way to understand like where you're lacking and in your everyday life, especially like you said, since your background has been in the military, things were a little different before, and then it started to change. So obviously, once you start seeing, you might not have the capability or the understanding at that point in time to immediately change something, but you start taking those steps so that it goes into in a different direction, a better direction.
All right.
Anyone else want to add anything before we move ahead? Any question in mind that you want me or Jeff to answer? No questions. I think we did pretty well then.
All right, so there was a study done, and I'm going to share that in the channel as well. It says that there were a lot of different awareness points. So the intelligence awareness or the IQ, if not matched with social awareness, was, it ended up the person not being successful. So you have to have that intelligence as well as that capability to understand the surroundings, to implement those things. Otherwise, your intelligence is just going to stay with you. So this goes for basically anything that you do at your work, as well as outside your work when it comes to your family or anyone that you're dealing with. I mean, there's obviously a lot of things that I used to do a lot differently back then. And now I'm trying to change those things because of this, that it's a lot easier. It becomes a lot easier to explain those things as well.
Definitely agree with you.
That's
there,
all for me, but this was extremely good from Irmah. She came up with all of this. This is basically what we want to foster within RepStack as well, whether it's your personal life or it's your professional life.
Yes, definitely. It was an excellent session. Even I got to learn a lot. So thank you so much, Irmah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Irmah.
everyone, for listening throughout.
Thank you so much, Irmah.
Thank you so much,
Irmah.
Irmah.
Thank you, guys.
Take
you.
care,
Take your time.
Hafiz.